Hey friends! So what I want to talk to you guys about today is sketchy Uber driver stories. So my first sketchy story was like 2 years ago. So I'm like 20 at the time, and like I'm going somewhere around like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I go outside and like I try to go to the back door and it's locked. So I knock, and the guy is like, "Oh, like just come sit in the front." First sketchy thing, I should have been like, no, but like me being like 20 and me, I'm like, oh, okay. So I go and I like sit in the front and like I'm really friendly and I love to like talk to my Uber drivers and key and he ha ha ha, and I feel like that's what gets me in trouble most of the time. But anyway, like we're joking and we're laughing, and I think I don't even know how the conversation got there, but we started talking about age. So I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm 20, and I come to find out that I feel like he was like late 30s, early 40s, but like way too old for me. So like in my head, when someone's that old, like he obviously wouldn't be trying to like hit on me or do anything like that, because like that's weird because they're like the age of like my uncles. We started joking about something. I think it was like food related or whatever. And then do you know what he does? He puts his hand on my thigh. And I'm like, really? And like to make it even worse, it was the summertime, so I had shorts on. So he has his hands all on my bare thigh. So like me being me, so I like just start to like scooch like closer like to the window, because like I probably should have said something, but I really hate awkward conversations. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get out of this Uber and then I never have to do it again. Super sketchy and like weird. And he was like kind of hitting on me, and then when he drops me off, he's like, oh, so like what time are you gonna be leaving, so he can kind of like drive around the area and pick me up. Like super sketchy, so sketchy, whatever. So that was my first. My second story is with this guy. So me and a good friend of mine actually went to Canada to speak at a conference. So the day we were presenting, I misread the times. So we're running late. So we hop into like an Uber, and you know we were late because we were poor and definitely should have been taking the bus. So like the guy is like Haitian and he's like trying to joke with us. I don't think there's that many black people in Gatineau. So we get to the conference, we present, it's fantastic. So it is 2 days later, we're leaving, and like we get the same Uber driver. So like when I'm like, I have a suitcase because you know we're going to the airport, and like he's not helping me put my suitcase in the trunk, and he's like, oh, you put it in yourself. And I'm like, but then I realized, oh my goodness, we had him before, and he's like joking with me even though I have no idea like who he is. Like, also, the thing about the conference is the conference was fully funded, like everything minus food. But you know, it's like the end of the school year, it's like June, and everyone knows by then like you have no money. So we're like struggling, like we are really struggling to survive in a super ritzy hotel. I know. So anyways, like we're joking with him, and then we start talking about how hungry like we were. We're like just joking, and then he's like, oh, I'll take you guys out to eat. And like we don't think he's serious, so we're like laughing like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And then he actually pulls over, and like us being like broke college kids are like, all right, free food, which was like bad on our part. And just looking back, it's so sad that we were in a place in our lives where we were taking meals from strangers. We go in, and I had an eggs Benedict and my friend had an eggs Florentine, and it was fine. But like it was just really weird because then the guy started like to hit on me, and it's like it was, what sucked, it was like it was me. It wasn't like he was hitting on both of us, which was so annoying. So like he sits directly across from me and is like making really strong eye contact, and it was just aggressive and not like my thing at all. So like I'm just trying to talk to like she was my roommate at the time, so I'm just trying to talk to her and like kind of ignore him. Super weird. And then the check comes and we're leaving, and I'm like, okay, whatever, we get to go to the airport and I will never see this man again. And then like when we're going back to the Uber, the guy goes, no, you sit in front, to me. And I'm like, sounds like my first really sketchy story. So like I sit in the front because again, I'm like, what am I supposed to say? He just bought me free food. And when he got in the car, he was just super weird, and he was like, are you guys playing with me, or are you guys like being serious with me? Because like he wanted to like fly me back out to like come hang out with him, like I was a high class escort. Like, do I look like I travel for like it? Like it was just, it was gross. And he was like 45, and it was just weird. What like never ceases to amaze me with guys, men like this, not all men, it's like when I tell like men are like, oh, what do you want to do? And I'm like, you know, I want to be a missionary doctor in like Sudan. Like you would think it would register like, oh wait, like she's a Christian, like she loves Jesus Christ, like she's probably not a thought, like, you know, like that's like, this is not what, that's not what I do, that's not who I am. Regardless, so like we're on our way to the airport, and like my roommate is like trying to run point for me, and she's like trying to break the tension. So she's like, cause he was Haitian, she's like, oh, can you play us like some good music? So we're thinking that we're gonna hear like some Elephant Man, and we're gonna, you know, and he plays some old fogey like music to really show that he was like 45, like 50 years old. Like, just, oh, it was so weird. Then this is the worst part by far. Then like he's like again making really strong eye contact with me, and he goes, Debbie, when we dance, we'll be so close, it's like we're making love. Like what do you do? I was so uncomfortable. It was unbelievable. Like, some people are just so weird. Like, just weird, just weird. Like, who says that to someone that you just met? It was so weird. Whatever. So at that point, I'm like crushed into the window because I want to be as far away from that man as possible. Like, I remember exactly where I was when he said that, and I in my head am seriously like, I could jump out of this car. Like, I could tuck and roll and be away. Like, I've got a suitcase in the back. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need to be away from this man. Oh, it was so creepy. But like 15 minutes later, we get to the airport. The airport has never been so far away in my life. And then we're leaving, and he's like, okay, you guys give me a hug or whatever. He was just weird, and we gave him a hug. It was just awkward. He was short and chubby and gross, and so gross. Yeah. So those are my very, very, very sketchy Uber driver stories. Okay, now here are my tips and tricks to not have Deborah Uber driver stories. Number one, just take Ubers at like realistic times. Like, don't take an Uber that late by yourself. Like, at least if you're gonna take it at 2 a.m., like, take it with a friend. Like, most of my Uber drivers are men, and like, I don't want to be in a car with a strange man in like a not marked car at 2 a.m. Like, number two, which I get in trouble for a lot, is like, just know who you're keying and he-heing and laughing with, because I grew up with all boys, so I'm very comfortable and I like to joke, and it can easily be misconstrued that you're like hitting on them, you're flirting, and like, that's never the case with me, ever. And then lastly, sit in the back. Just sit in the back of the Uber. There's nothing for you in the front of the Uber. If the driver's really adamant that you should sit in the front, you should be like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get another Uber. There's nothing for you in the front. I can promise. I've been there 2 times. It was super sketchy. Everything you need is in the back. Just sit in the back. You'll be a lot safer. To my women, just sit in the back. Some men in this world are so sketchy, so creepy. But anyways, those are my 2 very, very sketchy Uber driver stories. I hope you have learned from them, and I hope your Uber driving experience will be a lot better. I'm looking at life unfold, dreaming of the green and gold.